Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the technical analysis of various Bitcoin mining stocks. Let's start off with fear and greed. As you can see, markets have recently been up, sorry about my dogs in the background, in high extreme greed, pie vesting as well. You can also see in extreme greed. A couple things to keep in the back of your mind. And that is between these two lines right here. Typically, during election years, the markets do have increased volatility. I've been waiting for that volatility to happen. We will see. It hasn't quite happened yet, but just something to keep in the back of your mind. But overall, I do believe that we are following this dark green line where we are getting near the end of a secular bull run. We've been in a bull run really since post 2008 great financial crisis, and I think maybe that's coming to an end soon, at least the end of that overall bull run. I talk about that more in other videos, especially during the live streams. Subscribe if you're interested in being part of those on Fridays occasionally. You can also see we were in crypto fear and have shot up into greed. Now, I've been talking about how I'm waiting for either a higher high from this point here, haven't quite gotten that, or a lower low from this point here to really show, are we truly changing to the uptrend on fear and greed, or is this just another lower high? And as far as mining stocks, make sure you're paying attention. Altcoins too. Make sure you're paying attention to Bitcoin dominance. When Bitcoin dominance rolls over, when the money in Bitcoin's flowing to the alts and the miners in the past, the last two cycles, that has been when you can make some really good money. And the alt season index shows that we are still in an uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. Hopefully we get one of these spikes pretty soon like we did in 2020, 2021. Again, I do videos on the cycles, the Bitcoin rainbow chart every Monday pretty much. So subscribe if you're interested in that. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here. And we are at an important moment here for a couple of reasons. One, you can see that Bitcoin since the March top has been in this descending channel. Lower highs, lower lows. We do have this higher low here that happened in September from the August sell-off, the yen carry trade, if you heard of that. But we do have these lower highs. You can see how many times we've hit the upper part of this channel. 4, 5, this is the 6th time. Also, since Bitcoin has started its bull run from the very bottom in November, you can see there's this trend line that Bitcoin has been in love with. And one thing I did is I drew a parallel trend line just to show some of the highs and the lows that the Bitcoin price was getting to. So Bitcoin has not only gotten to the upper end of this descending channel, but it's also hit that trend line as well. So a break above this would be very bullish. I would be thinking somewhere around 76,000, maybe some chop on the way up. I think this could confirm that we are going to durably move into all-time high area and get, basically you can start the timer as far as the end of the crypto cycle. Maybe it's about a year or less. However, we have to break above that. If we don't, then you could say, just as the times before, that we'd probably visit the lower end of this channel, at least the fibs here, somewhere around 57 to 53K. I want to say this fib is not on log scale, so let's fix that. Sorry about that, fib was in the wrong place. So this ascending trend line, 58K, lower end of the channel 53, and the macro fib at around 49. So if you are comparing this to last cycle, and I'm going to talk about the RSI in a second, I don't want us to leave there. If you are comparing this to last cycle, once Bitcoin broke out of this downward channel, and yes, this was COVID over here, you can see this was April 2020. There was still a year left to go up. So a year, give or take, from the time to get there. And if that truly started right now, if we did have a year, guys, that would line up with what the cycles have been, where the tops have been in November, December of the post-halving year. This was the very top. However, last time this was the all-season cycle. So if that is to stay true, if we are to break above and it's a year from now, that lines up with the 4-year cycle pretty good. The last thing I'll show you before we get into the Bitcoin mining stocks, and I'm going to fly through those, is you guys can see I have the RSI here. Now, I'm waiting to see if we're going to have bearish divergence. Right now, you see these peaks that are going lower, but you see the price going higher. That's bearish divergence. That can be something to look for. However, if this peak keeps going higher, I think, again, that's very bullish for Bitcoin. And all that affects the miners. So thank you for taking the 5 minutes to spend with me, just to have that macro viewpoint in the back of your mind. And we can throw off the RSI, and let's just add on our nice and easy buy-sell signals, okay? So Marathon, you can see here we've had these descending trend lines. It has gotten a weekly buy signal here at the 0.5 fib. So overall, higher lows, weekly buy signal. It's pretty good. But it does have not only this trend line, but the 618 to contend with. So overall, guys, I just look at this like this. Sometimes you have to take a step back and just say, you know, is Marathon at the recent range highs or lows? And it's at the recent range lows here at the 0.5, at least since December of last year. So as far as the last year, it is within those lows. We have a weekly buy signal. It's better to be getting, and not financial advice, but it's better to be getting Marathon here than it is up here when maybe it will or won't break. So if Marathon's something you like, we have a weekly buy signal. I think this is not the worst time to pick yourself up some Mara if you've done your research. And as I like to say, if you've done your research, you love it enough to buy it in some place around here, then you have to love it even more when it's on a discount if it goes down here. So do know, if you invest any of your hard-earned money, you have to have conviction in it and done your research, weighs the pros and cons. And so again, if you like buying anything here, make sure you love buying it down here. And just another point onto that before I talk about RIOT, guys, is that, and I just lost the point I was trying to make. It'll come back to me. Morning brain, apologize. RIOT, man, RIOT's been on the move here. And so let's take a look at, man, it's gone up 25%. So if you caught RIOT anywhere near this 236 fib, we were talking about how it's at deep value at this descending trend line at the fib, that this was pretty good to get it down here, and it is moving on up. It does have some of these resistances to contend with, most importantly that 382 and the 100 week moving average here at around $11. But if it can retake this 382, I'd say it's pretty good for RIOT. And overall, you know, something else I'm wondering with RIOT is, are the peaks going to follow this trend line? And if so, you know, you could be getting RIOT at a great price. You know, if it gets to 180, we're talking about a 20x from here, which is just crazy. So will RIOT do a 20x? I don't know. Some of the older cryptos, sometimes they only get to the 786 macro fib. So just something to keep in mind as far as these mining stocks are concerned. Let's go to CleanSpark. Really wish I remember what I was going to say. It was, you ever have that where it's like on the tip of your brain and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. So hopefully that comes back to me. As far as CleanSpark, you can see here with the macro fib, okay, it's coming on up. It's challenging these moving averages here, wicked up to the 50. We have the dark blue, that's a 200. The light blue is the 100. Has a weekly buy signal. And again, guys, if we take a look at this recent range, and this goes all the way back November of last year, it was around the same area. We are closer to the lower end of the range. Now, right now, yes, it is somewhere up here at the current price. So if you were able to get it down here, great. But if CleanSpark is something you like, you know, it's better be getting it closer to this 0.5 fib than it is at the 786. So if CleanSpark is something you like, I'd say you're still at the lowerish end of the zone, and we do have a weekly buy signal. So that's pretty good too. Let's take a look at Cipher. Overall, looks like some bullishness has been returning into the markets. Cipher coming on up, and you can see this is a brand new, you see that dark blue line that's spawning in? That's the 200 week moving average. This thing's so young. Let me hydrate. excuse me, this thing's so young, the 200-week moving average just appeared and it wicked right up to it. So I would not doubt see a little bit of a pullback, maybe retest those supports, 618 and these moving averages here at around 387 if you're willing to be patient and you missed it down here. Again, I encourage you not to chase, but if you're willing to be patient, maybe we'll come back down to these prices before moving on up. So we were able to get some deep value earlier a month ago on Cipher here at the high $2 marks. Let's go over to Terawolf. Terawolf, what do we got? All right, so Terawolf, this one's been looking pretty good. We talked about it keeping support on these moving averages, and right now it's challenging. This is an important level right here. So it does have a weekly buy signal, but it's challenging two areas that it's ran into trouble before, and that is the 200-week moving average. You can see it's not been able to get above it before, and the 0.5 fib. If it does, man, this thing is going to take off. But bearish sentiment is that you can see we do have these lower highs. Yes, we have higher lows, but if volatility were to come in, do not be surprised if we get down here. But again, if you like Terawolf, and it does come down here out of this wedge formation, you can see this triangle happening, lower highs, higher lows. If it does come down here, you really like Wolf, I'd say, good opportunity to pick some up. So we will see if Terawolf can break above that area. Next, let's go to Bit Digital. And Bit Digital, right now, you see a series of higher highs, higher lows. It's Terawolf, but on steroids as far as the macro time frame. Big wick here. It's got to get above that 200. So same assessment as before. 200 has caused problems, so it's a 0.5 fib. So we'll see if that happens. But again, this was the other point I was going to make, guys. I finally remembered. Whenever stocks, cryptos, altcoins you're looking into, do your research. Get yourself a small list. All you have to do, one of the best advantages you can have is just check those handful of cryptos or stocks. Maybe it's 5 to 10. Just check each one for 10 minutes once a week. If you just pay attention to them, you're able to get these lower prices when the deals come. So make sure you have a plan, do your research, but just pay attention to the same ones, and eventually you will find when they're at these deals. So, a lot of times I think we get too drawn into just the macro sentiment and all that. Make sure you're paying attention to your handful of stocks and cryptos so you can catch these good deals when they come. That was the point I was going to make. I'm glad I finally remembered. So Bit Digital, we'll see if it can get above there. It does have a buy signal, so is it going to be go time? We will see. Let's go to Bitfarms. And I have a couple new mining stocks to look at. Thank you for the person that commented below, a couple to add on there. We're going to be taking a look at BTDR and Hive. Bitfarms, it's down at this 0.5 fib. And again, we talked about the range. We don't have the buy signal yet, and you can wait for it, get confirmation. But if you like Bitfarms, we are at the lower end of the range. We do have these lower highs and higher lows. And so again, a lot of wedge formations forming across the board. And going back to Bitcoin, if Bitcoin gets rejected off that upper channel that I showed you, do not be surprised to see some of these come down even further. Just saying that right now. Okay, even again, if you like buying something here, and here you can see Bitfarms more of a deal than the other miners. If you like Bitfarms and you buy it here, you have to love buying it if we get down here. So again, market psychology, you got to put the emotions to the side and take a look at it from a value perspective. Next, let's go over to iron. My brain's finally waking up. It feels good. All right, iron, moving on up, following this trend line. Hey, I like the way this chart's looking. You see buy signal here. Hasn't had a crazy move up, but I like the stocks that kind of slowly grind. Sometimes they can just pop off. And you can see here it's challenged the 786 fib before. So iron hanging around down here. It would suck if this thing broke down, but if it did, then you just look at the 0.5. But I do like how it's following that trend line right there, and Iris Energy just keeps crawling on up. So next, let's take a look at Cores Scientific, see what this one's doing. Is it making? Yes, it is. It keeps crawling into new all-time highs. So guys, I'll keep saying it. I'm hesitant when it comes to brand new cryptos, especially when they come out. around the new all-time highs. And so this one, it did have a pullback, but showed really good strength off it. So at the time from this high, that was around the 382 or the 0.5. Let's go back to it. Yeah, it came down to the 382. So that's a really strong bounce. Even if it were to come down to the 618, that's fine. And this fib does not look like it's on logs. Yeah, it is on log scale. Never mind. So this thing keeps grinding higher. Too new for me personally. Technical analysis is something I try to use to give myself a competitive advantage. I don't feel like I have that with this, so I would have to rely purely off research, the balance sheet, look at all those things. But I will warn you guys, if you try to research these cryptos, and especially if you go on the crypto pages or mining pages, it's all sunshines, rainbows, and unicorns. So just take it all with a grain of salt. There's too many crypto cults out there where people just regurgitate the company line and talk about how it's going to solve all these problems that don't exist and has utility, and you look for the buzzwords, decentralize and Web3 and all this crap. So 15 years later, crypto being around, what do we got? Tangible utility is we have Bitcoin exchange machines in the ghettos in third world countries. So I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just telling you my observations is, the machines for exchanges are in the not best communities in third world countries. That's where I've personally seen it. So, not hating, not saying crypto can't have great utility moving forward, but just I'd like to see more. And until then, some of the nonsense people say, I'm like, okay, cool. My essential question, can I make money off this? Okay, that's important to me. And especially because crypto is more speculative. Let's go to the new ones, BTDR. What do we got here? BitDeer Technologies. So we've looked at this before. Yes, we have. I remember looking at the start of this chart and being like, what the hell? That thing looked pretty weird. So let's extend this out. We have taken a look at this before. Cool. I think that fib's mostly correct. And so BitDeer is coming up to the 618, but we'll see. There's a lot of resistance here. So we have the 100 moving average at wick 2. It has the 618. If it breaks above that, then it's going to challenge 786 again. So if you're able to get BitDeer down here around the 0.5, that's pretty good. Could it get above? Sure, maybe. But if BitDeer is something you like, I think you have pretty good value here between the 0.5 and the 382. So again, as I was talking about with cores, anytime price moves all the way up, it can come all the way back down to the 382. And to me, I still think it shows strength, more strength if it's bouncing off some of these higher fibs. Let's take a look at the last one, which is Hive Digital Tech. And we've looked at that one before. Okay, so I've looked at a number of these. It's good to know. I'm trying to remember the last time I looked at these, but let's take a look. What was the top here? Okay, right by alt season, Hive here. Didn't get up that much higher in March. So something to consider. 2017, 2021 tops were up here. I would have to see a lot more to indicate we're going to get above the former all-time highs or the 786. I say the same thing with Doge, XRP, Bitcoin Cash. Also, you can see the weakness all the way down at the 236. So the 236 is a deep value. Yeah, could it get up here? Sure. So we're talking about something like around a 5x would be my assessment of an older miner that's not showing really that much stronger cases for it moving on up, but that's just my opinion. So anyways, below all the moving averages, hanging out at the 236, deep value, but again, this isn't one, unless you've done your research and they've really change a lot of things. This isn't one where I'd be expecting the moon, so to say. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful Wednesday. Take care.